This is crazy. My friends, once again, I'm bringing you the opinions from ESPN about Indiana absolutely destroying Alabama and handing the Tide the worst postseason loss in program history. The ESPN crew had a lot to say about how dominant this was and what it means going forward. Before we get into it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's break this down together.
The stat you gave us earlier, 1 for 10 in the fourth quarter in Athens, where they were outscored by 17 to lose it. A very different fourth quarter in this one. And that is how Ole Miss gets the victory. Going to get Dusty's thoughts on this one from the Rose Bowl, where Indiana was a favorite. They deserved to be, and they absolutely dominated Alabama. At this point in the night, or in the playoff, nobody that has had a bye has won a game. And this is a 4th and 1, down 3. That's the resting posture of Curt Cignetti. He never changes his expression. Doesn't make any difference. They call a timeout, and then they run this play. Jeremy Bernard.
Going east and west. Give me something north and south.
The problem is they don't run it well this year.
That's a huge problem.
And that problem rears its head there. 3rd and 8. Mendoza, the Heisman winner, and this is a dart to Charlie Becker, the speedster, who makes a gorgeous leaping grab.
How good has Charlie Becker been down the stretch? You think of Penn State, you think of what he did in the Big Ten Championship.
Had a big catch early in the first drive of the game that scored points for Indiana to get a first down that got him 3, and that gets him 7. It's 10-0, and here, Ty Simpson drops back, takes off running, and he gets blasted by who? That's D'Angelo Pounds, who's been a big-time playmaker. Gets hit here, but it's that hit in the ribs. And Simpson surrenders the ball and was being checked out on the sidelines. Ensuing drive, Mendoza. Omar Cooper Jr. IU's got some talented receivers, and they got the Heisman Trophy winner slinging the pill to him. It's 17-0. Mendoza. Herbie described it as he kind of runs like a baby giraffe, but it's effective. That's an underappreciated skill set he's got.
It is, man. He's effective, and he can throw so accurately on the move as well.
How about this toss right here? Have to have Surratt. Elijah squeezes that. It's 24-0, and this is effectively over. Simpson has a cracked rib, could not go forth. Austin Mack actually came in and did a nice job, but there was just way too much work to do at this point for Alabama. Kalon Black, this man is a rugged runner, hard to get on the ground. And here, play the fight song again. IU. Not just candy striped pants and basketball, man. This football team can go. Roman Hemby, you got a whole lot of folks in College Park that are happy to see you doing so well. He was a Maryland transfer, Clark, a JMU transfer. Indiana wins 38-3. Here's Coach Cignetti with Reese Davis.
How would you describe the turnaround and what you've been able to build in a short period of time?
It'd be a hell of a movie. There's been a lot of firsts. It is kind of surreal. There's no doubt about it. I understand why there's been a lot of skeptics, but I only have one thing to say. Hoosiers! 1, 2, you know what to do. Indiana, 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 we're all for you. We'll fight for the future crimson, for the glory of what are you? Never daunted, we cannot falter in the battle we're trying to do. Indiana, 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 we're all for you. Are you?
Atlanta, as Curt Cignetti wins the first bowl game for Indiana. This is amazing. Since 1991, it breaks a 7-game losing streak for the Hoosiers. Again, it's worth reminding folks, when he got to Indiana, they had the worst winning percentage in the history of college football. Now they're an absolute powerhouse. He's just the 3rd head coach to win a bowl game, joining Bill Mallory and Sweetheart. It's entertainment. That's our buddy Lee Corso. In 79. Dusty Dvorak with me. We'll be in Atlanta next week for the rematch with Oregon. That highlight to come. They're the best team in football this year. You win in Oregon. You win in Indy against Ohio State. You beat Alabama like this. You're telling everybody that you're the best team in college football. Am I right? Is that the statement that they've made with what they've done today on top of what they've done this year?
They are the team to beat in this college football playoff. There is no question. And for me, it's the execution everywhere. Execution's a word that gets thrown around. But they block well. Everybody does their assignment right. They run hard. They're tough to tackle. They have a quarterback that is so precise with the football. Receivers that make catches and run great routes and block. The defensive line makes plays in the backfield. They get after the quarterback. When they get in their zone drops, everybody goes exactly where they're supposed to. And by the way, they're the most disciplined team in college football. One of the fewest penalized teams in the country. Number one in the country in turnover margin. What don't they do well, Scott? They do everything really, really good.
They turn you over. They don't commit penalties. You're going to have to beat them. But they're beating people senseless. And Alabama was on the wrong end of it. Here's Kalen DeBoer on how he plans to use the emotions his guys are feeling today to regroup for next season.
I know, because I've been doing this long enough and I have experiences that I can fall back on, that the fine line between what we had out there today and being at the very top is such a fine line, and you got to go back to starting over from scratch with putting the people around you, the right people, and committing to something, a common goal together, and the actions following it. And so it's such a fine line. It may not feel like it when you're in this moment right now and what happened today, but I can tell you it's a fine line between being here and being at the top.
Dusty, this Alabama program, and it obviously goes back to our colleague Nick Saban, who made it what it was most recently, you earn a benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Clemson lived in that space for a long period of time, and you hold on to the belief that they're this. I thought they'd be a playoff team this year, and they weren't, obviously, Clemson. And so maybe it's become something different there. Is it in the process of becoming, you're losing the benefit of the doubt of Alabama, of what you were, because you're still obviously really good, but what are they right now today as constructed?
They've lost that Saban mystique, that team that strikes fear in the opponent before they ever play them. That's gone. No one fears this team anymore. Think about the way this season started. They got blown out against Florida State, and how this season ended. They got blown out against Georgia in the SEC Championship, and they got absolutely annihilated today at the Rose Bowl. So nobody fears them. They've got to get back to being a physical, dominant team up front, because they're not.
Can't run the ball.
They cannot run the football. And to me, as Kalen DeBoer goes back, and he's a great coach, and he's going to do everything he can to get this program right. It has to start there. You cannot be that one-dimensional and expect to compete and play for championships. They've got to get back to that physicality. They've got to get back to finding that toughness up front along the offensive line, because this season they got talent, but it hasn't shown itself in games, and it's been puzzling to me to watch all season.
Look, it's been amazing in the portal and NIL era. Things can turn around quick. There's no guarantee they will. No greater example how quickly things can turn around. Indiana is singular. They are on their own level at the moment, and it allows so many other programs to catch up to a program like Alabama. They made it to the playoff, did win a game, but they were no match for Indiana today. More to
Listening to ESPN, what stood out immediately was how strongly they framed this as total domination. Not just a bad night for Alabama. They kept coming back to execution, discipline, and consistency, and I agree with that angle. When analysts say Indiana blocks well, runs hard, protects the ball, and commits almost no penalties, that's the blueprint of a team that knows exactly who it is and plays with confidence. I also think ESPN was brutally honest about Alabama, and honestly, it felt overdue. The loss of the Saban mystique was a major theme, and based on their comments, that fear factor is completely gone. ESPN pointed out the inability to run the football, the lack of physicality up front, and how one-dimensional this team became. That's not just criticism, that's a warning about where the program stands right now. What really hit home for me was how ESPN contrasted Indiana's rise with Alabama's decline. They reminded everyone that Indiana once had the worst winning percentage in college football history, and now they're being called the team to beat. That speaks to coaching, culture, and buy-in. ESPN wasn't hyping a Cinderella story. They were labeling a legitimate powerhouse. As a reaction host, I'm siding with ESPN here. This felt like a statement game that changes perceptions across college football. Indiana didn't sneak by. They overwhelmed Alabama physically and mentally. ESPN made it clear that if you want to beat Indiana, you'll have to take it from them. And based on this performance, That's a tall order for anyone left standing.